The Spider, M.Webster.
It's the wrecking machine. I ain't the worst that you've seen. Can't you see what I mean? Might as well jump, jump. Might as well jump. Go ahead, jump, jump. Go ahead and jump. Oh, hey you, who said that? Baby, how you been? You say you don't know, you won't know until you begin. Can't you see me standing here? I got my back.
Bekommt's zu tun mit einem Mann aus Nordirland, 33 Jahre alt, heuer beim Masters im Achtelfinale und im Vorjahrssieger bei den Players Championship Finals. Er ist die Nummer 3 der Welt. Holen wir ihn auf die Bühne. Hier ist Superchamp Daryl Gurney!
Tonight's quarterfinals at the Austrian Darts Open will feature at least 6 major champions. It could well be 7. We know that a major champion is going to come from this tie between Daryl Gurney, the number 4 seed, and M.Webster. Gurney, the reigning Players champion, a former winner of the Grand Prix. M.Webster, a former Lakeside world champion. But he's also a man who won a host of big titles in his BDO days, including the World Cup singles and the Europe Cup singles. And in the final of the Europe Cup singles, he beat Daryl Gurney fully 11 years ago, when Gurney was just in his early 20s. Webby was 26 himself. Can't remember who ref that final. It'll come to mind at some point. Little fella. What's his name?
Oh, yeah.
What would it be?
Oh.
Come back to me. It'll come to me, hang on. But yes, that was one of 3 wins that M.Webster has enjoyed against Daryl Gurney in his career.
First leg is Mark to throw first. Game on.
Unfortunately, they were the first 3 games that M.Webster played against Daryl Gurney. In the 7 following games, he has lost. But he has just put in one of the bravest performances I can remember in beating Joe Cullen in the previous round. And Rob Malarkey joins me in the commentary box to see if that bravery can carry him to his first quarter-final in singles play for more than 2 years.
Yes, and it would be his first quarter-final on the European Tour stage since October of 2016, when he made the last 8 at the German Darts Championship. 2 times a quarter-finalist on the European Tour. The other was way back in 2013. Webster involved here in the final day of a Euro Tour event for the first time in exactly 2 years. 2 years ago this weekend, when he lost to Jelle Klaassen 6-1 at this stage of the European Darts Grand Prix. But what a performance yesterday against Joe Cullen in the closing stages. There was a 180 in his final visit of the 10th leg, which Cullen actually won to make it 5-5. And he then went 174, 96, 140, and then 91 for an astonishing 11-dart holder throw. When he was, well, you described it very well indeed yesterday.
Couldn't hold the dart. He was literally trembling. He was that nervous. His finger was slipping off the dart. I do not know how he managed to do it, and it was getting worse and worse and worse as the game went on. He looks pretty solid at the minute in the opening stages of this, but whether, if this is close, whether it will become more of an issue. Gurney leaves himself a 2-dart checkout on the Webster throw. I do him disservice, actually. He did make a semi-final in Barnsley last year, but that was, in terms of big stage tournaments, you're right, it's the last time he made a quarter-final was that German Darts Championship.
The one won by Alan Norris.
88.
Well, Webster's looking at 130 for a hold of throw. Gurney is poised and ready on 8. He needs the treble 20 here, which he doesn't find.
58.
And Gurney can now step in with this double 4.
No score.
Well, he made gradual inroads with all 3 darts, but a look of confusion and perplexion on the face of Daryl Gurney after that particular visit. Webster now looking at 72, so one more of those for tops. And Webster takes out the 72 checkout for a hold of throw that perhaps he shouldn't have been entitled to, with Gurney missing those 3 darts at double 4.
Well, Mark Webster beat Dirk van Dijvenbode pretty convincingly 6-1, but it was only an average in the high 80s. It was mid-80s stuff against Joe Cullen. He'll take him, but if he's going to go on and be a threat in this final day, it's going to have to improve.
100.
He took out the 130 checkout in that match against
yeah.
Van Dijvenbode. That made it 2-0. He had a couple of big visits, or big checkouts I should say, in that particular match. He had a 120 checkout to seal it in the final leg, 6-1. Couldn't find the 130 there at the first time of asking, but hoovered up on the 72 anyway.
Whenever these two play each other, I am immediately reminded of one of the most curious games I've ever seen at Ali Pali, when they met a couple of years ago. It was a last 16 clash where Daryl Gurney just seemed to sulk his way to victory. He was doing everything he could not to engage with Mark Webster or the fans or anything. Webby was doing quite the opposite and getting them all to cheer along. He felt he was second best in the game and thought the fans might turn it his way. Can't find another treble 20 to give him one at double 12.
96.
But he is putting some pressure on the Gurney throw. Double 7. Excellent stuff from Daryl Gurney. Standard 15 darter to hold his throw. He is very difficult to break, his super chin. But yeah, I don't think there was any love lost after that game. It was a pretty fractious affair. As I say, Webby felt that he had to do everything in his power to try and win. He thought the fans might help him. Gurney was desperately trying not to engage with them, so was just like staring at his feet and shuffling to the board to collect his darts. It was a very, very odd spectacle.
98.
Ultimately, he won it 4-3. Went through to the quarter-finals of the tournament, where he was beaten by Michael van Gerwen, the eventual champion.
82.
This is their first meeting on the European Tour stage, however. Of the previous 10, not one of them has been in the European Tour. Adrian Lewis awaits the winner of this one. Gurney's never been beyond the quarter-finals of this tournament. He's only had a handful of visits anyway. He was a quarter-finalist in 2017 and 2018. It was Mensur who did for him in the quarter-finals 12 months ago. 6-1, Mensur came out on top that day.
140.
Mensur Suljovic back in Graz once again this weekend and on stage later against James Wade.
39. W126. 58.
That's another sub-ton visit for Mark Webster, and it's Daryl Gurney who's in pole position for a break of throw. Double 16 then for Gurney.
Game's on the third leg.
And it's a check out of 68 to back up the 15 darter. Gurney with the first break of the match.
Well, at the moment, Daryl Gurney is averaging in the 90s. There you go, getting on for 95. Webby is down in the 80s, as he has been so far this weekend.
85.
Don't think that's going to be enough. He did manage to beat Joe Cullen. Cullen averaged 92, but it was a very, very close run thing.
96.
And Gurney, having got the break of throw, very good at just holding on to an advantage. He's managed to do it 3 times in a row against Michael van Gerwen, twice in the Premier League to reignite his campaign for a push for the playoffs, and in the final of the Players' Championship finals, which he was given the award for the best TV performance of the year. The PDC Awards do. Something he's very proud of, actually. He's mentioned it a few times in interviews, unprompted.
180.
Yeah, Webster just beginning to look a little bit hurried and a little bit rattled because Gurney's moving away.
59.
And the trebles are just beginning to prove a little bit elusive for Mark Webster.
Oh, is that in? No, it's not.
96.
But he will leave himself top, Daryl Gurney. And at the moment, he's just got too much firepower for the Welshman. Very good for the Welsh, this venue last year with the all-Welsh final between Gerwyn Price and Johnny Clayton. Price still going strong in this tournament. Clayton went out yesterday. But Daryl Gurney has now gone 15, 15, 13. And that is an average over 100 for those 3 legs, and it's just too much for Mark Webster at the moment.
59.
Yeah, it could well be that it's Gerwyn Price who flies the flag for Wales after this one, unless Webster can turn things around. Of course, we may well have another Welshman on stage in the final, Hugh Ware.
Yes.
Match referee, of course, let's not overlook him.
It's unlikely he's going to go and win the tournament, though, isn't it? Unless something very straight. I mean, it's been a weird weekend. We've got MC singing songs. We've got A.D. Lewis offering to sing himself if he wins the title. I'm not sure if that's going to put off some people supporting Adrian.
60.
This green jacket that Johnny Clayton won, am I right in saying he keeps that? He doesn't have to return.
He's not going to give it back.
Has he framed that as well?
Yeah, he's framed it.
£25,000 and a green jacket, maybe, for the winner of this one.
I believe it will be the same deal as last year. I don't know how many jackets they've got lined up. Because you would think that Gerwyn Price takes a different fitting than, say, Nathan Aspinall.
134. Mark, you go 157.
It's just a real struggle for Webby at the minute to find any kind of treble.
57. WR 110.
Yeah, Gurney's just staying focused on what he has to do.
54. Mark, you go 100.
Well, he's not missed a dart at double yet, Mark Webster. But can he even get one here? Might go double-double. No, he did like the lie, but again...
And for good measure anyway, he should find the double 20. Maybe should have gone that way. Tops again for Gurney. Does like this.
16.
Not on this occasion.
Mark, you require 20.
Left-handers on double 10.
on the fifth
Something
leg,
about it.
M.Webster.
Absolutely no
6 leg is
bother.
down
Mike
to throw
Webster,
first.
look,
Game on.
he can barely hit a treble, and yet he's only a leg behind. And as he showed against Joe Cullen, an 11-darter could appear out of nowhere and just flip things around in this game.
100.
Darryl Gurney has not put Webby away in the opening 5 legs of this. And the longer that goes on, the greater the danger of Superchin, the number 4 seed,
100.
becoming the first seeded player to go out of the tournament this afternoon.
I get the impression with Gurney sometimes he almost thrives on a bit of pressure from his opponent. It sometimes brings out the best in him, and I don't think he's really had that handed to him today from Webster, and it's been a little bit difficult for Gurney just to keep himself ticking over.
Well, look, he has got that ability. You don't hit as many 180s as Darryl Gurney does without being able to go out there and blast people away, because he really can score massively heavily. But it's not necessarily been the most important strength of his game. The strength of his game is him taking out the checkouts, and he's been so good at putting in these gritty displays of anywhere averaging sort of between what he's doing now in 93, 94 to 100. And he's just getting 1 or 2 darts at double, and those checkouts are going. He keeps on doing it, keeps on holding his throw. He nicks a break somewhere and wins tight games. He's done it against Van Gerwen on more than one occasion over the last few months. He's done it against a number of top players in the Premier League. He is a very, very solid fighter. And there we go, Webby! All of a sudden produces a 180 from nowhere, and we could have a level game here.
Marking require 81.
Well, double 12 for Webster. Double 6, just north of that double 10 that he hit just a few moments ago, but he can't find the double 6.
Darryl 98.
So maybe a let off for Darryl Gurney. However, may only get the 1 dart, and he has found the treble 18, and he's now looking at double 12 himself. And that's a terrific response by the number 4 seed, the world number 3, Darryl Gurney. Just getting himself back on track.
Yeah, there you see it. 1 dart, crunch moment, and it went. And Darryl Gurney's been very, very good at that.
93.
And it's helped win him a European Tour title this year, his first Euro Tour title. Won that one at the German Darts Championship.
140.
Beat Ricky Evans in the final there, and that was another 98 average from Gurney, as Webby has actually started to find that treble.
All 134.
Oh, that last dart hurts. He was on a finish there after 2 darts, and then after the 3rd, he wasn't.
81.
Yeah, and that inconsistency has really come back to haunt him here. The 180 backed up by a 63 to leave himself a bogey number.
99. W146.
But Webster still the favourite to win this leg on his throw. It all depends how his finishing is, I suppose. That ultimately will be what it boils down to.
21 off leads 125. Treble 20s leave tops. And now let's see if Mark Webster can get this done.
66.
Because if he doesn't, the end might be nigh. Single 12 for double top.
26. Darryl require 40.
Not happening. And Darryl Gurney to go within 1 leg of making it 8 consecutive wins against the former champion of the world.
Game's on the 7th leg.
13 darter. 5-2.
And there we see just the fine lines perfectly illustrated. 2 missed darts at double 12 and double 6 in the 6th leg, a missed dart at tops in the 7th leg. two legs that have just slipped through the fingers of Mark Webster. They've gone into the hands of Daryl Gurney, and Webster finds himself 5-2 down when he could so easily have been leading 4-3. And on those two moments, this match is completely tilted in the way, or tilted in the favour of Daryl Gurney.
Well, there you see, that's been pretty much the story all the way through the game, though, hasn't it? The first 9 average, Gurney is completely outscoring Webster without firing on all cylinders by any stretch of the imagination. He's had more chances at the doubles, Gurney. And in the fourth that he's in, he's taking 50%.
Well, the three legs that Gurney has held, he's held in 13 or 15, 13 and 18. Now, not much you can do really about the 13 dart leg, but there will be openings. If Gurney produces those sorts of numbers again later on down the road tonight, assuming he does get through this one, then whoever he comes up against may well be able to make a move on the Gurney throat.
Well, obviously it's Adrian Lewis who faces the winner of this one, but this is the same half of the draw as Michael van Gerwen. And van Gerwen, of course, he'll be very aware of the fact that Gurney's beaten him 3 times in a row, because nobody's done that since Phil Taylor a few years ago.
Yeah, van Gerwen may well feel as though there is unfinished business on the cards there.
Beating Michael van Gerwen anywhere is tough. Beating him on the Euro Tour is exceedingly so.
And beating him in the Premier League twice.
180.
Well, it's only a second 180 for Daryl Gurney. But it is going to give him match darts, because Mark Webster's hopes of taking out the 110 have dissipated immediately after that first one. And Webby, well look, he's through to the final day of a Euro Tour for the first time in a couple of years. It is limited success for the Welshman, but he's just not been able to worry Gurney today. One of the best players in the world. Wants double 6 for a spot in the quarters, and he gets it for a 6-2 win. Pretty comfortable in the end from Super Chin as Webby bows out of the tournament. We're down to just one Welshman left in the field, and it is Gerwyn Price, last year's runner-up, the number 2 seed. We'll see him on the way in a moment, but he's taking on perhaps the form player this weekend, Darius Labadauskas.
Und ab ins Viertelfinale heißt's für Daryl Gurney. Und ist in Geberlaune, hat gestern auch schon sein Publikum zu unterhalten gewusst und bei Laune zu halten. Bin schon gespannt, wie er seine Leistung beurteilt. Der obligate Siegerschluck, der sei ihm selbstverständlich auch noch gegönnt. Daryl, congrats and welcome to the quarterfinals. What do you think about your performance?
Yeah, it was all right. All honesty, I think it was, what was it, 6-2? The 2 legs that Mark won, I had 3 darts at double 4, sorry, in the first leg, and then I had darts at tops for a 56 finish. So okay, possibly I could have won 6-0, but obviously it wasn't a flattering performance, but glad just to get the win, really.
Of course. How do you actually like the Austrian singing? Sweet Caroline, do you like the way they sing?
Yeah, of course, because they sing it better than me, don't they?
Would you like to hear them once again?
Yeah, why not?
Also, seid ihr bereit, um für Daryl noch einmal zu singen? Sweet
Good times never seem so good. So good, so good, so good.
I've been.
And we're in Graz.
And entertainer der ersten Güte, thank you so much. See you later. Wish you all the best, ladies and gentlemen. Daryl Gurney! Das war Daryl Gurney und wir in die zweite Halbzeit.